Well, here we are, back talking about coaching. My name is Yannick. I'm here with Nicki and Siawash, and I actually, you brought a question up, like doing something fun, but I actually seen that question around. It's like, how should I dress for a coaching session?
Oh.
And
Whoops.
well, at first I was like, but then actually lots of people talked about it, and I'm like, this is not as clear as I thought. Well, what's professional, what's not professional, what's authentic. I think generally, I think the more authentic you can be, the better, and everybody has their own authentic style, so there is no one dress code for coaching. But then I guess there could be a dress code for if you go into an organization and work with one of their C team, one of their top executives, maybe there needs to be a certain dress code, or does there? So
interesting, controversial.
I come from a relational coaching perspective, and I'm thinking the more authentic you can show up, then the better, because you're building an authentic relationship. And if you dress in a way that makes you feel inauthentic, for a very long time, whenever I wore a suit, I didn't feel like me. I felt like I'm wearing a mask, I'm playing a role, I'm like putting on this show by putting on this dress. And actually, it doesn't really represent me or what I stand for. Now I feel very comfortable in a suit, and that changes something. And I'm sure people could pick up whether I felt comfortable or not so comfortable in my skin, in my second skin, clothes.
Yeah.
For example, today I was like, well, should I put on a shirt for the filming? And I'm like, well, I often wear shirts, but I often wear t-shirts. So I mean, that's very much me. So let's show up authentically. But then you started to tell a really cool story, and I really want to hear the end of it.
Right.
So maybe you can retell it for the guys out there.
Yeah, sure. So I think for me, as a coach, for most sessions I've showed up, in my sessions where I am the coach, I've showed up with a shirt or, looking more professional. But in my sessions with my own coach, I tend to be more relaxed. And I had an incident. Well, let's call it an incident. around 2 years ago, I was in a rush. I went, I had to rush to Central London, come back home, and it was really hot. And I took my, top off, and I had just a normal shirt. And my coach really called me out on it.
Like the t-shirt.
Yeah, just a t-shirt.
Like a not fancy prints, just like a one colored.
Yeah, I think it was just a plain white t-shirt. Yeah.
And what did he call you out on?
And I think the conversation was really interesting because my coach really called me out on the fact that I wasn't professional, right? And well, at that moment, I think for me it was a bit surprising, right? But I think what he brought up is basically whether I would, see my clients show up like that, and whether that was me showing up in a professional manner. For me personally, I think it hasn't influenced how I show up as a client, like what I wear, but I think that made me reflect a little bit more in terms of we've heard the saying of like how you do one thing is how you do everything, and I wouldn't necessarily like it's a question whether that really applies into all areas of life, but personally I've brought it up with some clients who were wearing pajamas or just a robe, and for me it wasn't so much about saying hey that's inappropriate, but it's just about bringing up discussion like hey, how do you dress with your own clients, right? Because I've worked with quite a few coaches as well, and it's just again it's not so much about, to be honest, about who I work with, but it's about sometimes I do think it affects how someone is feeling. Like if someone is dressed super casual, sometimes I think it's even their mentality becomes very casual, right? So personally, I don't have like a standard like you have to dress in a suit or you have to wear makeup, you have to be a certain way. But I know I went a little bit away from the story, but I think it's a really interesting discussion because I think we do want to be. At the end of the day, I think people do get a first impression, and they will judge you a little bit
Yeah,
right?
of course.
And whether we like it or not, people will judge you on how you're dressed. And personally, I like to, I think it's just really interesting to kind of look into what our story is behind that. Like you said, do I feel it's authentic, or am I doing it just to look professionally, or am I doing it because I'm comfortable?
Yeah, absolutely, and it goes to so much more than just clothes. It's also your posture. If you have a very straight back and really good posture, it sends it sends something, it sends a message, right? I'm taking care of myself, or I'm sending confidence, or what's in the background when you're in a Zoom session, or how does your consulting room look like, or how are you showing up? If you're wearing a suit, people judge you as more credible. They judge you as more intelligent. And I hate it, but it's true. So for a very long time, I really did not want to have that to be true in any way, because I believed so much no, surely it's who you are and what you think and how you relate to people. But there is a very quick, as you say, it takes 3 seconds until your subconscious has put you into one of the categories or labels, and that can be really important when you meet somebody. I think after you've built a relationship with a client, I think it matters less and less and less, because you have built that strong relationship of trust, and that stuff doesn't matter so much anymore, because now they know the real you, so you can relax a bit more in terms of dressing. Now when I feel comfortable with people, I don't mind wearing a t-shirt, but often when I first show up at a new teaching gig, for example, I will make an effort to dress up a bit more than perhaps in session 5 or weekend 5 of a course, because you've built that relationship already. I think it only becomes problematic if you dress so differently that you feel this is not you, that you're actually putting on an act. If you never wear a shirt and you only wear shirts for your coaching sessions, then I'd be curious about that.
I think that was going to be my kind of take on it. It's dress appropriately, but without compromising, who you are, your identity. For example, I would very much feel imposter syndrome walking into a space, wearing a shirt and trousers and stuff. That just isn't me. I think that would be the recommendation I would give, is dress appropriately, but kind of stay true to yourself. That said, my own personal take on it definitely would be, I would have very little kind of, I would definitely stay true to my own dress sense, which is probably that. You're seeing a person with bare feet here. And I think for me, I'm likely to attract the kind of clients who tolerate that and who kind of can find the value in that or not judge that.
And not just tolerate that, but actually appreciate the authenticity within.
Exactly. Not that there's a good or bad, but I think I would see no purpose to dress any other way than I do to enter an environment. It's more likely that I'm probably not suited for that environment, perhaps not the right coach for that kind of client to begin with. Not that I want to limit myself. I could very much imagine teaching in a corporate kind of setting and, like I said, adapting, but not completely compromising or dressing something that doesn't make sense or pretends to be something I'm not, because it wouldn't be right for either party. I'd imagine that relationship. So
we had considered the idea of dressing in towels today, and
it's so hot here.
It's really hot.
You have no idea.
That would have been quite the dress code. Yeah, but thanks for bringing that up. I think that was interesting, and I hope that was useful for you guys as well.
Send us a picture of what you're wearing.
I think it would be interesting to hear in the comments, what you wear in session. Is it just normal, what you wear normally, or is it what you wear in a job?
And why, or why not?
Yeah. Cool.
Bye-bye. Hey guys, if you enjoyed that, you know what to do. Hit subscribe and send us a question. See you next time.